Well, what is going on out there, guys? Luke here today, and we are going to finally talk about Lucid stock or CCIV, whichever one you want to call it. Now, I stirred up some controversy last time we talked about it, but you guys are asking for it again, so I want to give the people what they want. And I also want to let you know if and when I think Lucid will head back to the moon, which rocket scientists say is more likely to happen if you smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. What? That's what rocket scientists say. I'm no rocket scientist, so who am I to argue? And it's free and it's an easy way to help Lucid out. So I've been getting a ton of questions about my thoughts on Lucid in virtually every video. I mean, I can talk about Warren Buffett and I still get asked about Lucid. Now, I gave you guys the truth last time and I got destroyed for not saying Lucid would be at $100 by this summer. This is not a hype channel, so I gave you guys the truth last time and I'm gonna give it to you now this time. The last time we talked, I was simply trying to say I felt I did not have to FOMO into this stock because I would be given an opportunity in the future to buy Lucid at a better risk-reward proposition. I think we can all agree that Lucid had a crazy FOMO-induced run, and a lot of people have been on a roller coaster with this stock ever since then. And I will admit, my YouTube brethren did not help at all with all the hype around this stock. I mean, it was just out of control. So I understand a lot of you have been through the ringer and are just wondering if this is even worth it. And to me, with the right perspective, Lucid can absolutely be worth it, but if you fall victim to the doom and gloom, or if you buy into the hype train, you're just setting yourself up for a fall. Oh, and before we get too far, let me clear this up right now because it's really agitating me. Lucid is not Nikola. Lucid has an actual plan, an actual factory, and a roadmap moving forward. Yes, they have a ton of unanswered questions, but it is not even in the same universe as Nikola. Anyone who says that just has no clue what they're talking about. Alright, so back on track. What is the right perspective to use with Lucid stock? To me, the most important thing you need to keep in mind to take this Lucid ride is going to be time. You need to have a long time horizon with Lucid to survive the roller coaster, and let me tell you why. First, this car manufacturing thing is just hard. As brilliant as Elon is, it took him years to figure it out, and having a factory is just one part of the battle. Getting the actual production and execution right is just a whole other ballgame. And it's actually one that every manufacturer struggles with at the start. And if you think Lucid will be the exception and not have any issues, then you might want to rethink that. Remember, not a hype channel, I'm being honest here. This is part of the growth process, but it makes for a wild ride for the stock in the short term. And notice that I said short term. And we're going to get to that here in just a second, as that piece is actually more critical that you understand. So just hang on just a second and we'll get to it. So is it going to take Lucid a year, maybe more, before figuring this out? I mean, Tesla took years to figure it out, and in some areas, Tesla is actually still working through it. I would plan on Lucid doing the same, and if they surprise us, then that's great. And the second, it will take time for Lucid to find its market. Lucid might one day be the choice for a luxury vehicle, but for now, they have to prove they will actually pull some market share from BMW, Mercedes, and others. Oh, and they must prove that people who have the money and want electric will choose Lucid over the Tesla Plaid or the Porsche Taycan, however the heck you pronounce that, the Porsche one. Can they do it? Absolutely they can. Will it happen in 2021? Well, I'm not thinking so. This again is something that may take a year or more to prove out, so keep that in mind as we move forward. Now, what happens in between or in the short term is where the hard part comes, but it's critical that you get it right or you're going to get crushed. But before we get to that, first we have to thank our sponsor for this video, the private group, because I have no other sponsors, and if you noticed, there's no ads in the middle of my video like everyone else has. So if you want 2 free courses, tons of exclusive videos, my watch list with price targets, weekly live Q&As, my buy and sell alerts, an incredible Discord and support system, and a ton more, than this group is for you. And if you don't like it, you can just cancel and you basically got 2 complete courses for the price of a meal at McDonald's. Heck, the very design of the private group is to help you with the hardest and most critical part of owning any stock, especially a high growth stock like Lucid. So let's get back to that. Lucid is a high growth stock, and there are many unknowns, as we have already discussed. There are going to be many short-term issues, run-ups, and drops in the stock. Every time we have good news, it's going to be going to the moon. And then every time there's a delay, the narrative will be that the sky is just falling and Lucid is just terrible. This is not unusual for a high growth stock. It's part of the journey. There are short-term issues or movements, but we are focused on the long term. So you have to stick to your plan for this stock and your analysis for this stock. If Lucid is a $100 stock in 2 years according to your analysis, then you need to keep that in mind every time it runs up on hype and when it goes down due to some short-term issue. It's not going to be a straight line up to $100 per share. It's going to kind of look like, well, it's going to look like this. And yeah, I know that was terrible. I'm sorry guys, but you know what I mean. But the worst thing you can do is FOMO buy or FOMO add because it runs up big on absolutely nothing, and then FOMO sell when something goes wrong and it inevitably goes down. Lucid is in the very early stages of production, so things will go wrong. But it has such a promising future, it's going to have more FOMO-induced hype runs as well. So here's the bottom line, and many of you have already experienced this earlier with Lucid. If you do not have a plan and you do not do your analysis on this stock, set price targets and all that good stuff, you will FOMO buy and then panic sell. It's really that simple. But with the right perspective, analysis, and sticking to your plan for Lucid, it can absolutely be a wild but profitable ride for this stock. And to me, it will be more likely a year, maybe even 2, until we see a sustained run up to the moon instead of the FOMO run-ups and panic sell downs we saw earlier this year. So patience and sticking to your plan will be the key to getting to the moon. And remember, if you don't know how to value a stock or you don't know how to build a plan for a stock, the private group has a course dedicated to just that. I'm sorry guys, I just couldn't resist throwing in that little plug there. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.